Hi, Chris Duff over at Serious Land Capital, vacant land funding partner. So today I was just a bit more inspired to talk about kind of setting up the week and just daily structure for moving the business forward. I think for a lot of us, Mondays tend to end up being a bit more reactive than we would like. Everybody's just jumping on what just got backed up over the weekend and checking in on various deals to dispo, more leads coming in. There's just a lot of back and forth from a communication side of things. And, maybe it's just us or myself that struggles more with it. Uh, it's just, Mondays tend to be less successful when it comes to a proactive, deep work perspective. And I've just kind of accepted it to a certain degree and just try to align as many reactive elements as possible so that I can work on the business and do some of the more proactive progress, the following days in the week, and also try to knock out some on weekends more routinely. Like this past weekend was fortunately successful, and had our 2-year-old daughter being watched by my parents, so that helped a lot to clear some mental energy to focus on the business. But a key thing that we've noted too, even as these Mondays just have to be a little bit more reactive and so forth. Unfortunately, our brand is built to such a significant space. We can always have more room to grow, but we slowed down a bit towards the holidays and reboost everything back up heading into the start of the year. And now we're really kind of rolling again. A lot of inbound leads, a lot of cold calls coming to us. And, ever since probably halfway through last year, I really backed off just having general chats about our funding business. Initially, when we were first starting, I would just get on the phone with anybody, even if they weren't going to be that likely in terms of a solid client and so forth. And it was also like a lot of just practice for me verbally to go over sales pitches and so forth on our services and as we were getting rolling. But now that we have so much free content out there, I mean, our website is chock full of every possible detail, or at least initial details on how to assess how we fund deals. All of that's available. I have a daily podcast now. I have a twice a week Facebook group where you can see how I review deals. All of that zero cost. A number of podcast interviews in the books with other interview hosts within the land side. I've also been to a lot of in-person land events as well. Our reputation and content has kind of grown accordingly from that initial side of things. And just as you grow a larger business, inevitably you can't be as high touch with everybody, and that efficiencies start having to kind of fill those gaps in order to continue that growth forward. Now, you always have to balance that, and that's something we learned this last quarter, is that we backed off too much from ongoing marketing, that it was starting to hurt us. But realizing, okay, where's the highest leverage opportunities to continue to market and still reach new potential land investors who want to send us deals, versus being too out of touch that things start drying up and we start losing business accordingly. So I'm always trying to think about that. And honestly, just like random cold calls or people reaching out is so hard to fit in, even short ones, because it's the maker versus manager schedule type thing. Even if I'm trying to fit in 3-5 minute calls here and there, like it kind of takes out of the groove. And again, a sales pitch is down pat so well. Like all of this info has been covered in other areas. Like that's why we have the FAQ and so forth. And I text over bullet points, email over bullet points, and I'll happily say, hey, if you send us over a deal, more than happy to chat about it, assuming it passes our initial parameters. And that's what we do. I reserve all of my call time to only, work on deals in a more reactive format. And it's just kind of the nature of this business. Sometimes, you got to figure out realtor situation, have some updated info, and got to sort something out with title companies, or work through some extra diligence that we were just not suspecting, attorney involvement here and there. Like all of that needs some slack within the system to accomplish. And that's where I'm more than happy to speak individually with other investors who are looking to work with us. And I know some folks will like, hey, can I chat with you about a deal? And I'm always like, it's just never, from experience. Again, I'm not just like speaking out of my ass here. It's if you try to describe a deal over the phone, like it's just not nearly as efficient and effective as just sending over the info and ideally as much info as you have, and then I can review it separately and come back with much more targeted questions and figure out a plan to go ahead if there is potential to work forward. Otherwise, we're just kind of wasting both of our time talking about a deal that doesn't really have legs in the first place, at least potentially not for us. So that's just something that we've tried to be more efficient with as we continue to grow here. And so, I try to be nice about this, again, provide as much info as possible. And, there are occasionally some folks like, hey, relationship business, I'd really like to chat with somebody before I engage. And that's where, me as a kind of people pleasing type personality, like it always hurts a bit there because like, yeah, I should just, can I just make more time, call? But ultimately realizing that the needs of the business are above my own preferences, and for any truly successful business, like you can't be everything to everyone. Inevitably we're going to rub some people the wrong way, or it's just not a direct fit for what they're looking for. And so I've just kind of had to realize this. It's a minority in the overall scheme of things. Like we're obviously continuing to grow, and most people have no issue, hey, just sending over a deal or seeing all the free content and kind of getting to know us more from that side. And honestly, that regardless of kind of the relationship side of the business, I mean, just think about like any other business you might deal in. Like you talk with me as kind of the owner, which inherently will be biased in terms of positive, positive kind of talk, salesmanship. Like it's just natural being a business owner, right? You're going to show yourself in a positive light. Like I could just be lying through my teeth, just say, oh yeah, you've done all these type of deals and everything. So that's why I try to point people towards, hey, like ask about us on the various land communities. You won't see a bad word. At least I've never seen a bad word. And we patrol those land communities routinely. Always reputation is massive part of being funder. We guard that as an absolute core tenet of our business, treating people fairly. And we have invested millions of dollars worth of deals. We've paid out millions of profits. No one has come back to us or claimed Serious Land Capital didn't give us fair share. I know other funders have gone the other way, and there's some bad stories out there. Just ask around; they're out there. I have a lot of inside info that I could share in more detail, but that is a story for another time, certainly. But I promise you that there are some bad apples in this industry, just like any other industry. So we're well aware that reputation is pretty much everything, and we guard that as much as we can. So yeah, ask around. We've worked with tons of other investors. I'm more than happy to provide extensive references upon request. Generally, people don't request them because it's, again, kind of already out there. But if people ever request, more than happy to provide. And people have served as references for us in the past. Or take a look at all those other bigger names. I mean, we advertise on Seth Williams' Ari Tipster podcast. Listen to him speak about us. We've spent extensive time together. He has a great reputation in the industry. Advertised on Kendall's Only Land Fans podcast too. Like, look at how he speaks about us too. Know him personally. Talk to Dave Deniston. Talk to Travis King. Talk to JT Olmstead, Alicia Jarrett, Ajay, Jaron. Like, kind of pick any of those more well-known names within the industry. Kind of check in on their thoughts about how we operate here. And that to me is more important than anything that I could be saying about our business, because it just reduces the inherent bias more. And ultimately, even if they are saying all the positive things about it, like at the end of the day, being able to deliver on having capital and moving forward and strategically reviewing deals and successfully bringing back profits, like that is the bottom line that matters more than anything, of which we have an extensive track record. Just the other week, 400K deal was brought to us. We fund it. We funded it within less than a week. I don't know any other funders who can do that. I know others were asked and they couldn't perform. Like, sometimes capability just speaks louder than any words, whether they're my own or anyone else within the land industry. So just wanted to kind of lay that out there too, where again, kind of my more people pleasing mentality. Like, I'm not trying to big time anybody. I know that sentiment can be out there in certain fields and everything. It's purely just a need of the business. My partners and I, we view this business as its own entity, something that's bigger than any of us, and it needs to be fed and nurtured very carefully. And whatever my personal feelings on how things should be conducted sometimes just gets overridden by the growth we are trying to pursue and latch on to. So again, just to provide a little bit more perspective on how we're approaching these things. There's no willy-nilly decision-making going on here. I think very, very carefully about how we come across to people and when I'm going to take a call or not. And that kind of careful selection process, I think, has gone hand in hand with, our exponential growth over the past couple of years here. So hopefully that helps. If you're looking for any funding, seriousland.capital, landpricer.ai for the most simple and accurate way to price land. For sure going to be testing by the end of this week here, and Land Daily Diligence Facebook group for any zero cost review of your land deals. Take care.